welcome to the 2021 CSUSB Financial Aid webinar. Today I'm going to be going over what is the FAFSA, what does it mean to obtain an FAFSA ID, filling out the FAFSA application, filling out the dream application, the different types of financial aid, and the scholarship application. So what is the FAFSA? The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It is available starting October 1st every year. The priority deadline is March 2nd, and it is used to determine your eligibility for federal, state, and institutional aid, such as grants, work study, and federal student loans. The application collects demographic and financial information for both the students and their parents. That information is used to calculate the expected family contribution, which colleges use to award financial aid. So the EFC is used to determine your eligibility for different types of grants and loans, and it is available in both English and Spanish. The federal student aid is a username and password that will be specific to each student and parent. It is associated with your social security number, so you will have to input all of that information when you first create a username. And if for whatever reason you misplace your username, you will have to go in and reset it. You will not be able to create a new one. So they will have you create security questions and different types of ways to retrieve that information if you misplace it. If a parent cannot obtain an FAFSA ID, the signature page at the end of the application will need to be printed, signed, and mailed to the federal processor. And like I said, you want to make sure you save your FAFSA ID, because every year when you go to fill out a new FAFSA, you will need to have that information on hand. And the FAFSA ID is also used to access other federal websites, such as studentloans.gov, which if you do decide to take out student loans, you will need to have access to that site to create a master promissory note and an entrance counseling, which are required for every student that does decide to take out student loans. You want to make sure that you never share your FAFSA ID because it is associated with your social security number and can only be linked back to you. The different types to fill out an application are, you can do it online through the web, through the My Student Aid mobile app, via paper or PDF, over the phone, and the My Student mobile app is available to you through the App Store or the Google Play Store. It is a good way to fill it out easier. You download the app every year, you can go in and renew it. When filling out the FAFSA application, the first step is going to be the student demographics, which is going to be your personal information, your home, your address, your high school, any colleges that you're applying to. The second step will be student financial information. So if you did work for the year that they are asking, you want to make sure that you input all of your tax information. If you did not file taxes, you will need your W-2s. You will have to input how much you earned. And then after that, it would be step 3, the dependency status. So for the dependency status, it will ask you a series of questions that require a yes or no response. That will be used to determine whether or not you are an independent or dependent student. For independent students, it would just be your financial information as well as your spouse if you are married. And then you will fill out your student household information, which will include you, yourself, your spouse, and any children or dependents that you support. And then you will sign and submit it. If you are dependent, you will fill out parent information. You can use the data retrieval tool if they would like to have them link their stuff from the IRS to the application. And then it would be their household, which would be your parents, yourself, and any other dependents that they support. And then it would require a signature for both you and your parents. So the IRS data retrieval tool allows for certain tax return information to be transferred from the IRS database. So this does not always, or it is not always able to be used by everyone. Sometimes if you're filing as married or joint or separate, it won't allow you to. So if you find that you can't link the data retrieval tool, you'll just have to manually input everything into the application. It is voluntary, so you can choose whether or not you transfer the information. The IRS will need to authenticate the taxpayer's identity. So you will need to use the parent or the student FSA ID. It will ask it of you again before it transfers you to the IRS site. And then it will ask you if you would want to transfer the information to the FAFSA. If you choose to do that, you would put yes. And it reduces the documents requested by financial aid. So if for whatever reason you get selected for verification, you would need to turn in tax returns or a tax return transcript. However, if you do use the data retrieval tool, you do not have to turn those documents. So on our verification worksheet, it does have a line where you could check off that you use the data retrieval tool, and it will request the date that you filled out the application and sent it in to us. So it does reduce the amount of documents you have to collect if you are selected for verification. Frequent FAFSA errors. So these are errors that we see a lot when we receive FAFSA applications. One of them is if parents do not have a social security number, you want to make sure you put all zeros. So some students will put the parent's ITIN number or a different number, but all zeros is what you need to submit the application. If your parents are divorced, widowed, or remarried, you want to make sure that you indicate that under the parent's marital status. You want to make sure that you include income earned by both parents or step-parents in the application. Even if your parents got married but don't file together, you want to make sure that you still include both incomes on the FAFSA. Sometimes students don't put untaxed income. Sometimes the income taxes paid is incorrect. The household size. Sometimes we will also see that the students are not including other siblings that live in the home, which you want to make sure you include them if your parents do support them more than 50% of the year. And the number of household members in college. So any dependent that your parents support or you support, you want to make sure that if they're going to college, you do include them in the number of household members in college. And then also the real estate and investment net worth. If your parents own any real estate or investments, you want to make sure that the total net worth is included on the application. So once you submit your FAFSA, you will receive an email notification of your student aid report stating that it is processing. You want to make sure that you review this to make sure that there are no errors in any of the information on there. And if there is, you want to make sure you make the corrections. We will get 2 applications, but we go based off of the most current one. And then the California DREAM Act allows students who meet certain criteria to apply for financial aid, such as private scholarships, state university grants, Cal grants, EOP grants, middle class scholarship. The applicants must be an AB 540 or AB 2000 student. This is generally for undocumented students who fall under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival. So DACA students would be primarily students who would apply for the California DREAM Act. The DREAM application also opens October 1st. You must have attended a California school for 3 years and graduated from a California high school or equivalent. You must be attending a California college or university and file an affidavit with the college or university of interest. The application deadline is also March 2nd, and you must submit GPA verification. So it's a little similar to the deadlines for the regular FAFSA. And then what is financial aid? So financial aid consists of funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. The different types of financial aid are gift aid, which is types of aid that you do not have to repay, so grants and scholarships would fall under gift aid. Then there's work study, which is part-time employment. So under work study, you can work on campus. We have outside employers who will hire our work study students. And then the federal student loans, which are low interest loans that must be paid back. For student loans, the payments start 6 months after you graduate. For subsidized loans, the interest will not start until after you've graduated. For unsubsidized, the interest starts right away when you take out the loans. The interest rates are listed on studentloans.gov, and they do change every so often. So if you're curious about student loans, you can go to studentloans.gov, and it'll show you all of the current information about the different types of student loans and their interest rates. Federal aid programs are the Pell Grant, the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, Federal Work Study, the Federal Direct Student Loans, which are the subsidized and the unsubsidized. Subsidized is need-based and unsubsidized is not. So for the Pell Grant and the student loans, they do go based off of your estimated family contribution to determine your eligibility. So if you don't see subsidized, then you would be offered the unsubsidized loan, and it would probably be, if you didn't get both, that the EFC was a little high. And then there's the federal direct parent loans, which is a loan that is applied for by your parents, and it is based off of their credit, and it is only in their name. So state aid programs are Cal Grant A, B, or C, the Chafee Grant, Middle Class Scholarship, and the California Dream Loan. For the Cal Grant program, the deadline is March 2nd. So you want to make sure that you fill out your FAFSA before March 2nd, because after March 2nd, it's up to them if they want to approve it or not. You must meet the GPA, income, and asset ceilings. And the required documents are the FAFSA, the GPA verification form, which your school should send to the California Commissioner's Office. The student can obtain a Cal Grant GPA verification form through the California Student Aid Commission, which must be sent by a school official and mailed to them. The Middle Class Scholarship is for students attending a CSU or UC with family income of up to $177,000. They must be a U.S. citizen, a permanent resident, or have AB 540 status. They must be a California resident, have at least a 2.0 GPA, and complete a FAFSA or DREAM Act application. They must also meet certain income and other financial standards, which would be determined by the information you put on the FAFSA. Other types of programs. So we do take other types of programs such as vocational rehab, external scholarships, veterans benefits, and other fee-paying programs. So if you're an employer, or if your parent works for Cal State, then you could be eligible for a fee waiver, which you would have to contact their human resources office to determine whether or not they offer something for our campus, and we would be able to accept those funds here. So those are also other aid programs that you could potentially be eligible for. For scholarships, there is one online application used for a variety of on-campus scholarships determined by various committees on campus. The deadline is March 2nd. You need to file the FAFSA before March 2nd to be considered for need-based scholarships. And you can also check with off-campus scholarships, such as your parents' employers, different businesses, all over the internet. There are different scholarship applications that you can fill out, and then if you're awarded something, then we would be able to accept it here. For CSUSB scholarships, recommendations are you must have at least one recommendation letter for the application to be considered complete. You could get more than one. It would be used to determine based off of the different committees on campus. They go over the recommendation letters and the scholarship applications to determine who they want to award the scholarship to. So the more information you submit to us, the better. And it must be completed by a professor or a teacher. A supervisor that you work for could be used in a special circumstance. If that's the only person you could get to submit a recommendation letter, we would be able to accept that. When you're filling out the CSUSB scholarship application, there is an autobiographical essay that you fill out that you want to make sure you include as much information about yourself, what your goals are, what degree you're seeking, any community service that you've completed. You want to make sure you put as much information about you and your goals in that essay as much as possible, because they do review those to determine who they want to give the award to. So you want to include your family history, if you're a first-generation college student, how you overcame adversity, different examples of community service, your degree objective, and your career goals. For that, you want to be as specific as possible, because sometimes for different scholarships, they want to give it to a history major or someone in a specific degree-seeking program. So you want to make sure you keep an eye on that. And then special circumstances. So special circumstances do come up. If you do have a special circumstance, you want to make sure you reach out to our office. We do have advisors who work one-on-one with students to go over their special circumstance to see if there's something we can do to assist them in either giving them more aid or, working out the types of aid and what their options are. We do a lot for special circumstances, so you want to make sure you reach out to us. Special circumstances, we assist with our loss of employment if you lose your job from the time that you submitted the FAFSA or from that tax year. You want to make sure you reach out to us. If there's a death in the family, a divorce, if you're having issues with housing, you want to make sure you reach out to us because we can help you with the special circumstance. Conditions that exist that cannot be documented with the FAFSA. So that's kind of going over what special circumstances we assist with. So conditions that you can't put the information on the FAFSA, you would contact the financial aid office, send a written explanation and documentation to your college's financial aid office. So when you come in to meet with us for a special circumstance, you want to make sure you bring as much documentation as possible about your situation. We will review it and request any information if necessary. And our decisions are final and cannot be appealed to the Department of Education. So when you're coming to us and asking for a special circumstance to be considered, you want to make sure you bring as much information as possible, because that is what we use to determine whether or not we want to process a special circumstance for you specifically. And there's no way you can appeal our special circumstance decisions. So this is our contact information. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and then Friday from 8 to 5 as well. This is our direct line, our fax, our email, our website. And then we are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are located in University Hall in room 150. And then for questions, we will have a live chat available next Wednesday, January 15th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you would like to meet with us or live chat with us, we're open to general questions. If you have any specific questions to you specifically, you can go ahead and give us a call and we can answer those over the phone, or you can come into our office. Thank you.